Welcome back, everybody. The South African State Theatre is currently staging the story of world-renowned musician Fela Kuti through a musical titled Fela and the Kelakuta Queens. The musical chronicles the life and the times of the late legendary musician. It follows the life, his life, not only as a musician, but also his defiant and uncompromising social activism. The musical also explores the lives of the women who are part of his band and gives a unique insight into the negotiation of gender and power relations at the Kalakuta Republic. Now, joining us now to tell us more about the production, we're joined in studio by Fela Lighton Adeniji, who plays Fela, and Bola Austin Peters, who is the writer and director of the production. A very good morning to you two, and welcome to Morning Live.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to start with you. I would like us to take us through the journey. How difficult or how easy was it to tap into the mind of Fela Kuti?
I think it's probably one of the most difficult roles you can play, because a man of many parts, very diverse, and with different emotions. Pan-Africanist. He believed in so many things, and also was a man of the masses. So you had to also be able to relate to the masses to understand how Fela actually lived. It was more for the people, fighting for justice, human rights, and the rest of it. So it's more of training, understudying Fela, getting a lot of help from his family, a few of his friends, band members. So with a combination of all those, you're a bit close to what his character. So that's what I had to do.
Having tapped into and then immersed yourself into the character of Mr. Kuti, what is it that those who will be watching the show will learn about this legend?
The learner was fearless, dogged, very African, and has a lot of passion for his people. Freedom, emancipation. He was just a fighter, an African fighter. So there's a lot that you can learn. Very funny man, crazy, if you want to use that word as well, and also a flirt. It was a flirt. When it comes to the ladies as well. So, yeah.
Right now, Bola, do you want to take us through the cast members of this production?
Yes, so we have about 50-something people on set. Cast-wise, we have Fela and the 27 wives.
Okay.
And Fela's Republic was composed of, he actually had...
You also have the 27 wives as part of the production?
Yes, they're all here. So we have 27 ladies, and they're all centered around this gentleman called Fela. And they're all seeking his attention, everybody, because he's married to all of them. So everybody gets a turn to be with him. It's a crazy, crazy setup.
I can only imagine. Always
fighting, a lot of drama. He had his own court system in his house. He had lawyers. He had crazy things going on in there. So it's very fascinating, because what I did was I had to sit with the real wives, two of them that are alive today, and they told us their story. And also Fela's family was very, very invaluable in the course of putting the story together. So this is a true story. It's based on a true story.
Just how supportive were they towards the writing process?
Incredibly supportive. Yeni and Femi, the first two children of Fela, they were completely supportive throughout the process, and Fela's estate as well. So we got all the permission and support that we needed from them to put this together.
So what will we learn insofar as his family life was concerned?
I think what is fascinating about this particular musical is the fact that nobody ever talks about the women. So what I tried to do was to ensure that the women's story came out for the first time. We hear about these 27 girls that lived with him, but nobody really understood what drove them to get there, why they lived with him. They were all in love with this man. He was an icon, and they all believed in what he was doing, and they were willing to share him for some bizarre reason. So I needed to understand what was going on in their minds, why 27 women, and even more, those were the ones that he married, were willing to dote around one single individual and make life miserable for themselves, in my opinion, at times. But they were, so for them, for as long as they were with Fela Ransom Kuti, they were happy. And Kalakuta Kuti, yes.
Now, Fela, for every guy who is a huge supporter of Fela Kuti and his music and his legacy, they'll jump at the opportunity of telling his story. So what does Fela Kuti mean to you as an actor yourself? And having taken part or having taken this role, what does that mean to you?
Well, the good thing is, growing up, we've always been listening to Fela. has been like part of my family. You know, we've always had his albums and the rest of it. So it was a little bit easier to understand the man, since it was someone that, you know, you're used to listening to. So for me, I think it's just a surreal experience, I would say. Even anytime I get on stage, it's still very, very surreal for me. So, like tonight, or this afternoon too, it's going to be surreal again, with 27 women on stage with me.
Geez, man, we just cannot wait to immerse ourselves in the legacy of Fela Kuti. And just quickly remind us, Bola, of the details of the event. I mean, the tickets, where to get hold of them, and how much they cost. And
it's all on the State Theatre website, and we're showing till Sunday the 7th, or is it 8th? 7th of April. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular stuff. You see a lot of music, a lot of dancing, and you learn a lot more about Nigerians.
Right. Yes. And the tickets?
They get them on site.
On site, okay.
Yes.
All right then. Bola and Fela, thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for joining us. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, that was Fela Lighten Adeniji and Bola Austin Peters talking to us about Fela and the Kelakuta Queens, which is currently on at the State Theatre in Pretoria. Let's go pay the bills now, shall we?